Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something big for researchers.
Yeah, something that could really change your research career.
Ireland's hosting agreement scheme, right?
Exactly right.
We've got all kinds of information here. Eligibility, salary requirements. We even have real-life examples.
To figure out if this scheme is your ticket to Ireland.
Because, Ireland isn't just beautiful scenery.
Right. It's not just the rolling green hills and all that.
They're trying to become like a research powerhouse.
Absolutely. They are making a strategic push, you could say, to become like a global research leader.
And this hosting agreement scheme is part of that.
Oh, it's a big part of that. It's designed to bring in the best talent from outside the EU and EEA.
Okay, so like me, I'm not from the EU.
Exactly, like you.
So let's talk about what are the qualifications?
Okay. To be eligible, there are three main criteria.
Three, okay.
First, you got to be a non-EU, non-EA national.
Check.
Second, you need a higher education qualification, something that would let you into a doctoral program.
So a Master of Science or a PhD?
A PhD, exactly, or an equivalent. And finally, you need a research contract with an accredited Irish research organization.
Okay, so it's got to be accredited. It can't just be any random research position.
Accredited is key. It could be a university or any other research organization, but it's got to be accredited.
So how do you check for that?
You can check that on URXSS Ireland. They have a list.
Okay, URXSS Ireland. Got it. So that's like the qualifications. But there's got to be a salary requirement, right?
Absolutely there is. The scheme has two tiers.
2 tiers.
Yes, depending on whether you have dependents or not.
Okay.
If you're on your own, the minimum is $23,181 per year.
Oh, okay. And if you have, say, a spouse or kids?
Then the minimum goes up to 30,000 euros a year.
Okay, so that makes sense. They want to make sure you can support yourself and your family.
Exactly. It's all about being able to afford to live in Ireland.
Right, because Ireland can be a little pricey.
Especially housing, right?
Especially housing in Dublin, I hear.
Yeah, Dublin can be a bit tough, but these minimum salaries, they should be enough to cover your basic expenses.
If you're careful.
If you're strategic about where you live, yeah. Like maybe not right in the heart of Dublin.
So it's a trade-off,
Right, the excitement of working in a new country versus, being able to afford to live there.
Yeah.
So you have to think carefully about the finances.
For sure, before you just jump in.
Right. Okay, so we've got the rules.
Yeah, the basic rules.
But to really see how they work.
Yeah, to understand them.
Let's look at some real-world examples.
Yes, let's do it.
Our sources have 5 scenarios.
Okay, 5 scenarios.
Each one has a researcher, either named Jane or Joe.
Okay, so we have Janes and Joes.
Keep it simple.
Easy to follow.
So first we have Jane number 1.
Okay, Jane number 1.
She has a master's in biotechnology.
Okay.
She's got a 6-month research position at a university.
Okay, a 6-month position in Ireland.
In Ireland, yes, with a salary of 25,000 euro.
25,000 a year.
And is she single?
She is single, no dependents.
So does she meet the criteria?
She does. She ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
She's non-EU, has the degree, the contract, and her salary is above the minimum for someone without dependents.
So she's good to go.
Ireland's calling, Jane.
All right, great. Next up, we have Joe.
Joe? Okay.
He has a PhD in computer science.
Right.
And he landed a 12-month contract with a research organization.
Okay, a 12-month contract.
Yeah, it's about artificial intelligence.
Interesting. AI. And what's his salary?
His salary is 32,000.
32,000, okay.
And he's bringing his spouse and children.
All right, so he's got dependents.
Yes.
Well, Joe's golden. His qualifications, contract, and his salary are all good. And because his salary is over 30,000, his family is covered too.
Perfect. So Ireland is open to researchers with families.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's make it a little harder.
Okay, let's see.
Another Jane.
Another Jane. Oh.
She has a PhD in environmental science.
All right, environmental science. Yeah, she's got a 4-month contract at a research organization.
Yeah.
They work on climate change.
4 months, climate change.
Her salary is 28,000 euro.
Okay.
She wants to bring her spouse.
Ah, okay. So this is where it gets a little tricky.
Oh, why is that?
Well, Jane's good on the nationality, the qualifications, and the type of contract, but
What?
that 28,000 salary is not quite enough for dependents.
Oh, right. So what could she do?
Well, she could try to negotiate a higher salary.
With the organization?
Yeah, with the research organization.
Okay.
Or she and her spouse could adjust their living arrangements, find ways to make it work financially, or maybe even consider coming to Ireland without the spouse initially.
So there are options. It's not an automatic no.
Exactly. It's not a clear yes or no. There's room to problem solve.
Okay, good. On to Joe number 2.
Okay, Joe number 2. What's he up to?
So he's got a master's in data analytics.
Data analytics, all right.
And he's got a short contract, only 3 months.
3 months, that's short.
Yeah, at a university for a big data project.
Okay, big data. And his salary?
$24,000.
$24,000, okay.
He's single.
Single, all right. So even though it's a short contract...
Does he qualify?
He does. He meets all the basic criteria.
So you can get a hosting agreement for a short contract like that.
You can. 3 months is enough.
Interesting. Okay, last one. Another Jane.
All right, another Jane. Hit us with it.
So she has a PhD in molecular biology.
Molecular biology.
And she's got a 12-month contract.
12 months. Good.
It's at a university for cancer genomics.
That's cutting edge.
But it's part-time.
Part-time, okay.
It's a 0.5 FTE position.
So half-time.
Yeah. Her annual salary is $24,000, Trey.
$24,000 for half-time. And no dependents.
No dependents.
This is an interesting one.
What do you think?
Even though it's part-time.
Can she still get the hosting agreement?
I think she can, because her annual salary is above the minimum, even though she's part-time. And her qualifications and contract type are fine.
So part-time is possible as long as the salary adds up to the minimum.
Exactly.
Wow, these scenarios really help. It's so much clearer now.
Right. It's one thing to read the rules, but seeing them applied to different situations, it really makes sense.
It's like seeing the rules in action.
Exactly.
So we've talked about getting into Ireland.
Right, the qualifications and all.
But what about once you're there? What are the benefits?
Oh, there are some great perks. Apart from, the research opportunities themselves.
Right. It's not just about the work. It's about living in Ireland.
Exactly. Well, first of all, the hosting agreement gives you the right to live in Ireland.
Okay, that's a big one. No visa problems.
Right, no visa worries. For the entire length of your contract.
But what about, your family? If you bring your spouse or kids.
That's important, right?
Good.
If they are included on the hosting agreement.
They can come too?
They can come with you. And here's the good part. They can work.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't need a work permit or anything.
Nope. They can access the Irish job market without a permit.
Wow, that's a big advantage.
It is. And there's another potential perk. After 2 years on a hosting agreement.
Yeah.
You can apply for a Stamp 4 visa.
A Stamp 4 visa. What's that?
It's a 2-year visa, and it's renewable.
So what's the difference between that and the hosting agreement?
Well, the Stamp 4 gives you more flexibility.
Like what?
You can switch jobs.
Without a new agreement?
Without a new hosting agreement, yeah. And you can move between different sectors.
Oh, wow. So it's like a stepping stone.
Kind of, yeah. You prove yourself with the hosting agreement, and then you get more freedom.
More freedom to explore different options.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. But before we get too carried away.
Right, there are some important details.
Some nitty-gritty stuff from our sources.
Absolutely. This is crucial.
Okay, hit me with it.
No matter what, you need the original hosting agreement. Before you set foot in Ireland, even if you don't need a visa.
Even if you don't need a visa, wow.
No exceptions.
So don't wait till the last minute.
Definitely not. And if you have any questions, contact the HR department at your host institution.
They'll have the answers.
They're the experts. Oh, and one more thing. If you're joining a de facto partner.
Like an unmarried partner.
Yeah, and they already have a hosting agreement.
You need pre-clearance.
You need pre-clearance, whether you need a visa or not.
So lots of paperwork to keep track of.
Dot your I's and cross your T's, for sure.
Okay, so we've covered the hosting agreement itself. But what about the institutions?
Ah, yes. The institutions, the gatekeepers of all those research opportunities.
The places where the research actually happens.
That's right.
So what can we expect? What are these institutions like?
Well, we have a list, actually, of accredited institutions, and it's quite impressive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've been talking about the hosting agreement scheme, all the details.
Yeah, eligibility, benefits, all that good stuff.
Now I'm curious about these institutions, the ones actually offering the research positions.
Right, the places where you'd actually be working.
Exactly. What can you tell me about them?
Well, we actually have a list here of accredited institutions.
Oh, cool. Is it just a bunch of universities?
It's more than that. It's a real mix.
Yeah.
Universities, research institutes, even companies and hospitals.
Wow, really? Companies too?
Yeah, it shows you how serious Ireland is about research. It's not just academic.
So it's like a marine biologist could end up at a research institute, but someone working on, say, artificial intelligence Could be at a company.
Exactly. It's about bringing in talent from all kinds of fields.
Okay, so what are some of the big names on this list?
Well, for universities, you've got the usual suspects, Trinity College Dublin, University College Cork, University of Limerick.
The big ones, yeah. Those are all familiar.
But then you also have more specialized places.
Like what?
Like if you're into marine research, there's the Marine Institute.
Okay, the Marine Institute, what do?
They do all sorts of things. Oceanography, fisheries, climate change research, you name it.
Sounds pretty comprehensive.
Then you have TGASC. They focus on agri-food research.
Agri-food, so like agriculture and food production.
Yeah, stuff like sustainable farming practices, food safety, things like that.
Interesting. Anything for the engineering folks out there?
Oh, yeah. For manufacturing and materials, you've got Irish Manufacturing Research Limited. They're doing some cutting-edge work.
So lots of options depending on your specialty.
Definitely. And don't forget the companies.
Right, the company.
You've got big names like IBM, Ericsson, Logitech even.
Wow, big tech companies. That's pretty cool.
It shows that Ireland is attracting some serious research and development.
So this list is pretty impressive.
It is. It gives you a good idea of what kind of research is happening in Ireland.
But how do you actually, get in touch with these places?
That's where UAXS Ireland comes in.
UXS, right. We mentioned them before.
Their website is amazing.
Okay.
They have the full list of accredited institutions and not just the names.
What else?
They have profiles for each institution. Yeah, they tell you all about their research areas, their facilities, who to contact, everything.
So it's like a one-stop shop for researchers.
It is. It makes it so much easier to find the right place for you. And if you need more help,
Yeah.
they do one-on-one consultations.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, they have experts who can answer your questions, give you advice, even connect you with people in Ireland.
That's amazing, like a personal research guy.
Exactly. And they even have webinars and workshops before you go.
Before you move to Ireland.
Yeah, they help you prepare for everything, visas, housing, even cultural stuff.
That's so helpful. They really want researchers to succeed.
They do. It's impressive, honestly. They're not just trying to attract people. They're trying to make sure they have a good experience.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why are these institutions so attractive to researchers?
I know. Is it the research itself?
Is it the support system?
Or is it something about Ireland itself?
Well, to get a better sense of that, we need to hear from the researchers themselves.
That's right. The people who have actually been through this whole process.
Exactly. So in the next part, we'll be talking to some researchers who made Ireland their research home.
Real-life stories from the front lines of Irish research.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've talked about the hosting agreement scheme, the institutions, all the details.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
But now it's time to hear from the people who actually made it happen.
The researchers who took the plunge and went to Ireland.
Exactly. So we reached out to a few researchers who have experience with this scheme.
To get their perspective, what's it really like?
Exactly. And they were happy to share their stories with us.
That's great. Who do we have first?
So first up, we have Sarah. She's a neuroscientist from Canada.
Canada, okay. And how long has she been in Ireland?
She came a couple of years ago.
Couple of years.
She's a great example of how the hosting agreement can open up new opportunities.
I'm curious to hear her story. What was her situation before coming to Ireland?
Well, she was working as a postdoc in Canada.
Okay, postdoc.
But she felt kind of stuck.
Stuck? How so?
Like she wasn't really advancing in her career.
I see. So she was looking for something new.
Yeah, new challenges, a fresh start.
And she chose Ireland.
She was always interested in the research happening in Ireland.
Especially in neuroscience.
Exactly. And then she found this perfect position.
Trinity College, Dublin.
Trinity College, nice. And that's where the hosting agreement came in.
Yeah, it made the move so much easier.
Because of the visa.
The visa, yeah. She didn't have to deal with all that complicated paperwork.
That can be a real headache.
She said the application process was super smooth.
Really? No problems.
She said the HR department at Trinity was amazing.
They were helpful?
Super helpful, guided her through the whole thing.
It sounds like they really care about making the transition easy for researchers.
Yeah, they want to make sure you have a good experience.
That's great to hear. What about settling into life in Dublin? Was that easy for her?
Well, finding a place to live was a bit tough. Dublin's expensive, right?
Yeah, the rental market is crazy. But she eventually found a place she loves.
In a good neighborhood.
Yeah, and she loves the community feel.
That's so important, especially when you're in a new country.
And the research environment at Trinity?
Yeah, what was that like?
She couldn't be happier. Her colleagues are super welcoming and supportive.
Professionally and personally.
Yeah, they made her feel like she belongs. She even joined a Gaelic football club.
Gaelic football. Wow.
She's really embracing Irish culture.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So it sounds like Sarah's really thriving in Ireland.
Definitely. Okay, let's hear from another researcher, David.
David, okay.
He's an engineer from Brazil.
Brazil, interesting.
He came to Ireland to work on a renewable energy project.
Cool. Which company?
A company called Orico.
Orico, that rings a bell.
They're on that list of accredited institutions we talked about.
Right. They do ocean renewable energy, right?
Yeah, cutting edge stuff.
So David's story shows that the hosting agreement isn't just for academics.
Right, it's for researchers in industry too.
What made David choose Ireland, do you know?
Well, he was excited about the project itself.
It makes sense. It's a really interesting field.
But he was also drawn to Ireland's commitment to sustainability.
Yes. Ireland is really pushing for renewable energy.
Exactly. He said Orico is a great place to work, really supportive and innovative.
That's good to hear.
And he loves the work-life balance in Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland is known for that. People seem to have a good balance there.
He said he has time to explore the country, take up new hobbies.
Like what?
He's into hiking and traditional Irish music now.
That's fantastic. He's really making the most of his time there.
It seems like both Sarah and David have had such positive experiences.
They have. They've advanced their careers, experienced a new culture, made new friends.
It's inspiring to hear their stories.
It really is. It shows you that taking a chance and moving to a new country can be incredibly rewarding.
And their stories highlight something important about Ireland.
What's that?
They're not just investing in research, they're investing in people.
That's a great way to put it. They want researchers to thrive, both professionally and personally.
And the hosting agreement scheme is proof of that commitment. It's a clear sign that they're open to talent from all over the world.
It's a great opportunity for researchers who are looking for something new.
So if you're a researcher listening to this,
and you're thinking about your options,
take a look at what Ireland has to offer.
You might just find your next big adventure.
And that's it for our deep dive into Ireland's hosting agreement scheme.
We hope you found it informative and maybe even a little inspiring.
Thanks for joining us.